squirrels, I return by saying, gosh, you know, humans and chimpanzees shared a common ancestor 5 to 7 million years ago, and these squirrels that you say are all one of God's kinds shared a common ancestor about 35 million years ago. Extinction and natural selection. One of the problems with thinking about adaptations as being the work of a wonderful, intelligent designer is that those very same adaptations virtually guarantee extinction when the environment changes enough, which almost always happens. If you go back only 65 to 70 million years ago to the end of the Cretaceous, the general estimate is there were about 50,000 species of vertebrates. Of those, fewer than 20 gave rise to the some 100,000 species of vertebrates that exist now. All the rest went extinct. On a theory of intelligently designed adaptations, the intelligent designer clearly is very short-sighted indeed, because virtually all of its creations go extinct. All the species on Earth are going to be gone in only 1 billion years, and the sad thing about that is that life's been around for 3.5 billion years already, so it's only got a relatively short period of time. Life on Earth is like for me and Phil. We've already lived more than half of our lives. And when you die, you're not going to be surprised, because you're going to be completely dead. Now me, if I live after I'm dead, I'm going to be really, really surprised. But at least, I'm going to go to hell, where I won't have all those grinning preachers from Sunday morning with me. Let me summarize my views on what modern evolutionary biology tells us loud and clear, and I must say that these are basically Darwin's views. There are no gods, no purposive forces of any kind. No life after death. When I die, I am absolutely certain that I'm going to be completely dead. That's just all, that's going to be the end of me. There is no ultimate foundation for ethics, no ultimate meaning in life, and no free will for humans either. What an unintelligible idea. Christian humanism has a great deal going for it. It's warm, it's kindly, in many ways. Maybe not to people who are a little different, but that's all right. If you're gay, it's not so hot for many Christians. But anyway, let's leave that aside and look at the good parts of Christian humanism. The bad part is that you have to suspend your rational mind. And that part is really nasty. Now, atheistic humanism has the advantage of fitting rational minds, trying to understand the world, but it has the disadvantage of very little cultural heritage. And that's a real problem. So the question is, can atheistic humanism offer us very much? Well, sure, it can give you intellectual satisfaction. And I'm a heck of a lot more intellectually satisfied now that I don't have to cling to the fairy tales that I believed when I was a kid. So life may have no ultimate meaning, but I sure think it can have lots of proximate meaning. Free will is not hard to give up because it's a horribly destructive idea to our society. Free will is what we use as an excuse to treat people like pieces of crap if they do something wrong in our society. We say to the person, you did something wrong out of your free will. So now we have the justification for revenge all over your behind. We put people in prisons, turn them into lousier individuals than they ever were to begin with. It's a horrible system, and it's based upon this idea of free will. And since we know that we're not going to live after we die, there's no reward for suffering in this world. I mean, you live and then you die. I've seen bumper stickers, very sexist ones, that say, life's a bitch and then you die. Well, whatever life is, you're going to die. So if you're going to be active, if you're going to make things better for yourself or for those you care about, you better become an activist and do it while you're alive. And finally, there's no reason whatsoever that ethics can't be robust with no ultimate foundations for ethics. I can expand that later. If you're an atheist and you know you're going to die, what really counts is friendship. And that's why I value Phil's friendship so much. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Professor Provine. Is it that Stanford is not too bright, or that we Socratically acknowledge those things about which we're still in the dark? I suppose that's the topic of our debate tonight. But now we turn to the rebuttal, and I just had to say that, literally. Now we turn to the rebuttal. Professor Johnson will begin.
Mm-hmm. Will was kind enough to say flattering things about my intelligence, so I want to be sure and pay back the compliment. I think Will Provine has one of the great minds of the 19th century. What you've just heard is that mechanistic village atheist rationalism that says if we just understand we're all these mindless machines and we fix the machine, we apply science to these problems and stop treating people as independent human agents created by God, then we can solve all of our problems because we'll have this a scientific approach, and especially relevant tonight, we can solve the problem of where we came from. Now, I used to be an atheist. Charles Darwin used to be a theist of kinds, really a very weak deist. But I used to be an agnostic. And when people ask me why I'm not an agnostic anymore, I sometimes say, well, I couldn't manage the leaps of faith that are required. One of the leaps of faith you have to make is you have to think that single-celled protozoa or bacteria, wherever you want to start, have the capacity, by a combination of random changes and natural selection, to turn into complex plants and animals, even though there isn't any evidence of it. You have to believe that the fossil record is totally misleading, and that a theory which contradicts it in every way is reliable. You know, the ways in which the fossil record has been contradicting Darwinism are becoming better and better known. I want to, after hearing that talk about how the Darwinian theory explains extinctions, I want to bring that bull out because, in fact, that's one of the many respects in which Darwinian predictions have been thoroughly discredited. In his recent significant book on extinctions, Professor David Raup of the University of Chicago points out that it's only Darwinian theory and prejudice that made biologists and fossil experts pursue so long the illusion that things gradually become extinct because they're supplanted by better adapted descendants. Rather, the increasing orthodoxy now is a return to catastrophism in extinctions, which is totally contrary to the uniformitarian predictions and predilections of Darwinism. But I want to get to a more fundamental level. I use this time to get to what I think is the most important thing. As you saw throughout the talk, in which Will showed that you can, if you select the items that seem to be most favorable to your theory, maintain something, even after it's in a lot of trouble in the scientific world, and feel very satisfied with it. You saw that he talked about variation. This is the Darwinian way. We get little changes, and little changes could conceivably become big changes, even if they're not recorded that way in the fossil record. Why not? And so what's to prevent little changes from adding up to big changes? Now, it isn't so much that this is a wrong answer, as it's the wrong way of looking at the problem. It's the wrong question. The important thing about living organisms and about life systems is the information that they contain, the information that makes it capable to manage extremely complex, interrelated mechanisms that all have to exist and operate together in an extremely complicated way. It's as if you were to say that we can make a computer program by sending random jolts of electricity through a field. What you have to explain is not the organism, its biochemistry, and how it varies once it's in existence, but the origin and growth of genetic information. And this is the problem that has been systematically ignored by Darwinian biology, although it's beginning to come into prominence now